Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am getting involved in another hop video with Natalie Bowers, and we are there's a whole load of us of UK scrapbookers, and we are making layouts that are spring themed and include washi tape. So they were our two kind of requirements. So I've got a couple of things out and I thought just do a nice like mini chat to begin with, and then we'll get started into this video. Oh, excuse me. I want to keep this quite quick, but I've got these spray mists out. These are the Lindy's Flat Fabio spray mists, and I can't remember, what's the name of this colour? Under the Boardwalk, and they're just gorgeous. And I'm just going to be using the blue and the green, I think, or maybe the pink and the green, I'm not sure. And I'm going to go for a wreath design, so I'm going to use these two colours, which are, if I just give these a good shake up, you can see there, they're very, still quite a lot of powder left at the bottom, but they're quite pastel-y shades. And I'm thinking that I might mix them together to make a sort of teal colour in a palette. It's a bit of a mess, that palette. And then I'm going to get a wreath going on here. And then I've got these recently in a wild hair kit. So not on the design team anymore, but I did order from Wild Hair Kits, and I do have a video unboxing that, but it's not for a few weeks yet. But it's all scheduled and ready to go. I'm getting much more organised these days. So they're just gorgeous. So these are the 5th and Monaco. I don't really know what this means, but pink paisley stamp set. I don't know if it's got any name other than that, but it's number 11. And they're just beautiful. Absolutely love these. And as it was spring themed, I thought I'm going to go for a wreath. I'm going to do some gorgeous stamping and colouring with these, and I'm going to stamp, colour, cut these out, and then I'm also going to use washi tape, but I'm going to do it in a bit of a different way. I think this is my washi tape kind of basket here, and I'm just going to pick out kind of some green washi tapes. Maybe I need to mix the colour, but when I know what will kind of go with that. And then I'm going to stick these washi tapes onto some card, and then I'm going to use a die, and I'm going to cut out nice little like fronds and leaves and bits and bobs like that is the plan, to really decorate up the wreath. And then I'm thinking I'll probably stamp some little butterflies and have them like flying out, seeing as it's very springy. And if I can just find my pictures that I'm going to use for this layout as well. Is it in here? Nope. It's nearby. It's a little stack of them here. I'm keeping it in here in the arches for here's the one I want to use. So this photo here, which is my mum's garden, and then this is like little blossoms all over the grass. So I thought it looked very springy. I think this might have been from actually the summer, but doesn't really matter to me. And I'm going to kind of stagger the pictures a little bit somehow, I think, like cut this in half. And I'm going to entitle it Spring in Your Step, because there's shoes and it's spring, so that's what I'm going to go for. Okay, so I did actually forget to mention in that little intro that obviously, as it's a hop video, all of the videos in the hop will be linked down below. So you can go check them out once you've finished watching this one. Sorry, the cat's meowing immediately this time. Okay, so I've started here by mixing these two gorgeous colours of Lindy's Flat Fabio spray mists together. So I feel a bit of a waster in this. That was a bit harsh, isn't it? But because I have mixed quite a large amount of the colour, I did waste quite a lot of this, which was very upsetting. But yeah, all right, Olive. But I am just adding like really randomly with my brush a whole circle thingy going on in the background to make the background of my wreath. And then I'm going to add lots of splatters. I love a splatter, and I think it just brings the colour across the page and it breaks up those lines a little bit. And then I'm going to just squeeze the tip of the brush so that I can get some really fat juicy splatters as well. So some smaller ones and some big juicy splatters. And then I am going to let that dry, so actually pop that on top of the fish tank, and not for any specific reason, and that the fish tank is near where I craft, so popped it on top of the fish tank and let it dry. So I'm going to move on to stamping my layout. So I absolutely adore these stamps. So I said before, I got them from a Wild Hair kit, and I just think that the curator, Alison, she just seems to totally know what I like. And these stamps are just so up my street. I do particularly love stamps because I think they're really versatile. So yeah, I'm stamping here these gorgeous flowers. They immediately, when Natalie said, oh, it's going to be spring themed, I was like, oh my giddy aunt, I know exactly what I'm going to use. So stamping away, I'm using an archival black ink, so it is a permanent ink, and that's because I'm going to be using the Pro Marker pens by the side of me. I bought these Pro Marker pens when they were I think they were like discontinuing them, and then they were going to be made by a different company, or a different company had bought them. I can't remember what the name of them is now. So I got them really cheap, and I've had no desire to buy any more colours, but I do have, I suppose, by a card maker's standard, quite a small number of them. So I just used 2 different shades of green, a light green and a darker shade of green. Obviously, if you have really nice fancy pens and you have lots of them, then you can be a bit more detailed in this, I suppose, and like a bit more thoughtful. But I used just 3 shades of pink that I had. So I had a gorgeous bright pink, which is the colour that I'm using here as a kind of darkish shade, and I'm just colouring in like where the petals touch one another. I'm thinking that's where the shadow of the previous petal would be, or right in the kind of centre of the flower. That would be the darkest area, and then I'm adding the medium shade, and then I'm going to add the lighter shade, which is more of it's almost just an alcohol pen. I think it's about as close to a non-coloured blending pen as I can get without actually buying one. So yeah, I think it's called Almond or something like that, but it's a really pale colour, and it blends really nicely with that medium tone pink. So that's what I used. I think I'm just kind of finishing up now. I then did yellow as well, and I'm not going to show you that. I only show you colouring one because it was just really boring to watch. But I do colour a whole load of yellow ones as well, as you can see here. And again, I use a dark toned yellow, a mid yellow, and then the almond pen just to touch up the very edges. So I've got all my flowers stamped, coloured and cut, and it took me ages. It was the same day, but I had actually changed halfway through the day, like got a t-shirt on because I've been doing a whole load of cleaning, and then here I am just cutting out. There's so much information, more than you needed, isn't there? But I'm just sticking down the washi tape onto some card, and then I'm going to run the card and the kind of, I essentially made a pattern paper with the washi tape. I'm just going to run that through the die cutting machine. I'm just using a little diamond press. And I'm using these Sizzix, what they called leaf stamps, leaf dies. And I'm using 3 different colours of washi tape, which I think I'm going to show you some of them in a minute. So I'm using this gorgeous stripy green and white one, which I think looks really cool and kind of contrasted a little with the background, but it still had the same sort of tones. And then I'm going to show you that I have used one that was actually a ticket washi tape. And then this washi tape here, I'm just going to use to make a few more because I didn't have very many of that one. I did make about the right amount. I had slightly too many, but I thought having slightly too many and being able to kind of work with them was, not necessarily a bad thing. I didn't have a die for those flowers, so all of the flowers are fussy cut, but I'm a big fan of fussy cutting. I don't know why I love doing it. I love to do it while I'm like watching telly or something. I know some people can't stand it, and actually in lots of other respects I'm not that patient, but I do really love fussy cutting, and so stamping and not having a die wasn't kind of the end of the world for me. And then I'm just cutting my picture down. I'm going to just keep that floral picture as a 3x4, and then this picture I'm going to cut down, so I would guess it was probably at the end, I don't know, maybe 2x2 ish, might be a little bit bigger than that, 2.5 by 2.5 possibly. And then I start placing my flowers. I cut loads of this out because it was long. It was really long, but because I do move the picture as well, so those flowers aren't going to stay exactly where they're placed here. Just showing a few little snippets of it, and I'm just adding the leaves in, and those leaves are really nice, the kind of little clusters of leaves like that, or the little strings of leaves, I don't know what you would call them, because they add a bit of extension to those little clusters and make them more in line with the wreath, or like kind of following the circular pattern of the wreath. And I do about 3 clusters. It doesn't kind of work out, it's more like 4 actually, weirdly, but nearly 3 clusters. The third cluster that I'm doing at the bottom here is a little bit split, as you'll see, so it's almost like two clusters. And then I'm using this paper which came from a paper pad from the works. I think it's actually called Spring, this paper pad, something like that. But I really love this paper, which is strange for me because actually a lot of the papers in this pad are quite vintage looking, which I don't normally like. But I think because the colours and the undertones are really quite bright, I've really enjoyed the pad, and I've actually got and used quite a lot of sheets of it. So I'm fairly confident I'm going to carry on doing that. So I've just mounted the pictures in this gorgeous kind of yellowy colour, this burnt yellow, I don't really know what to call it, or mustardy yellow. And I think it goes really nicely with some of the tones used in colouring in the flowers, which is why I picked it. And then I'm just sticking all of that down to the layout. You notice I had moved the direction of the picture, and I think that's because the smaller picture, it made more sense to me for it to be inside of the wreath rather than pointing out of the wreath. I don't know, I think the wreath kind of draws your eye around, I guess, in a circle, so it seems silly to have the picture outside of that circle. Here I'm going to add some tiny little letters. These little letters are from a Paige Evans kit or collection, and I think they were actually in a sticker set, and I just took the tiny letters out. I broke the sticker set down to put it in various places as part of my kind of storage system. I'm adding some journaling in a pink pen, and then I'm also going to add some more of the tiny letters in a second. Actually, that's not where I'm going now. I'm adding a roller date, a roller stamp. I can't remember what this roller stamp says. I think you can see it in the close-ups at the end, and I'm using a kind of purpley pink ink as well. And yeah, I'm just trying to use my roller stamps a little bit more. I don't know why I'd kind of gone in a little phase recently of not using them, and I used to use them all of the time, so thought it's time to start cracking them back out. So I'm just adding some repeat stamping and some kind of like faded stamping with the ghost approach. And then I'm adding just the word love along there because I just felt like it needed something else and a little bit more colour. And off camera then I do stitch this up, but this is the end of the layout. I really hope that you enjoyed this. Don't forget to check out the other videos in the hop down below, and I will see you in my next video. Please like, subscribe and so on, and thanks for watching. Bye.